Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the North East Lincolnshire series, centred around Grimsby and Cleethorpes along the Humber Estuary. North East Lincolnshire has 21 civil parishes. Here's today's for you. Hello folks, welcome back to North East Lincolnshire. It's a beautiful sunny day here in North East Lincolnshire, and I'm beginning with one this morning that's a nice little circuit, thanks to a footpath at the end of Church Lane, which you won't be able to see because the sunlight is too bright, but trust me, it's down there. Welcome to Bradley. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Bradley is a small village on the outer edge of the town of Grimsby in North East Lincolnshire and dates back to the time of the Vikings. Bradley is believed to mean broad wood or wide clearing. Although it's small, it has some interesting bits. During the 13th century, Ralph of Bradley was paid to build a castle in Grimsby, but there are no records that the castle was ever built or even started. Its oldest building is its church, which dates back to Norman times and features a stained glass window that commemorates a famous Bradley family who made jam and preserves. It's got some interesting properties too. The grounds of some of them were designed by the famous landscape gardener Gertrude Jeykll, but their identity remains confidential. Some cottages on Church Lane were built during the 1940s and they were occupied by farm labourers. They all had a pigsty and a slaughter room for dispatching and hanging carcasses. Delightful. Although not in the parish, technically speaking, Bradley is also where you'll come across a massive football complex built on Bradley pitches, land which was originally earmarked for a local cemetery. The most interesting bit of this video though is where I take you at the end. Beware if you head into Bradley Woods, as you might see a woman dressed in black wandering around looking for her child. This is Bradley and it's got a ghostly tale. Let's go. We start at the end of Church Lane, Bradley's main residential street. This is linked to Bradley Road via a short footpath, which will make our route a nice neat circle. It runs through this farmyard on the way. Bradley Road links the western end of Grimsby to places like Waltham and Barnley-le-Beck. It's got a few things of note along it, including 2 care homes. These are Bradley House Nursing Home, seen here, and a bit further south, Bradley Apartments, run by Elysium Healthcare. Let's follow Bradley Road northwards. If you look to the right along here, in the very far distance, you'll see a residential area and a school called Woodlands Academy. To the left, there's a handful of houses. Excluding the manor and the rectory, most of the 60 or so houses in Bradley were built after World War II. You're not allowed to park on Bradley Road or on its grass verges. That's what these signs mean. This is also true for most of Church Lane too. So Bradley's parish boundary runs down this road. You can see here there's a sign saying Town of Great Grimsby. Well, that's kind of right and kind of wrong, because everything on the right hand side of this road is Grimsby, everything on the left is still Bradley, especially a row of houses up the left hand side of the road, and it goes for quite a way as it runs towards the town. Now on the right, that land used to be part of Bradley Parish, but it's no longer part of Bradley Parish. However, I am still going to talk about it because over there is something rather interesting if you're a football fan. This is the Bradley Football Development Centre. The land on which this stands was part of Bradley Parish until 1928, but now forms part of Grimsby. Before this existed, there were already football pitches here, called Bradley pitches. They were originally earmarked for use as a future cemetery. When the development centre opened in 2010, it transformed the pitches into a top-class community facility and also provided a home for a local football team, Grimsby Borough, who play in the Northern Premier League Division 1 East, which is the 8th tier of football in England. As they were founded in 2003, for a time they had to ground share with Brigg Town at the Hawthorns. This, their current ground, has a capacity of 1,000, of which 180 is seated and 200 is covered. And now we start making our way back down to the junction with Church Lane. All of these houses on the opposite side of the road are within the village. Okay, so let's go down Church Lane then. This is Bradley's main street, and at the end of this road where it bends to the left, that's where you find the church. That's our next major landmark. But let's check out the street first and see what the houses are like along here. Church Lane is Bradley's main street. It's a quiet street and a quiet village in general these days, although there is some evidence it could have been bigger. It's likely that during the 14th century, the Black Death dramatically reduced the population. There's some evidence of a deserted village site to the south of the present manor house. You're also likely to see a few horses along here. In fact, I did at one point. I also came across this Victorian postbox set into the wall of one of the buildings. Next, we have a lot of landmarks pertaining to the manor. These houses are on Manor Farm Mews. Bradley Manor and its adjacent land changed hands on a number of occasions during the 16th and 17th centuries, and the present manor house was built in the 1680s. These are its gates. Almost directly opposite the gates there's a parish notice board, so you can all mark off Bradley, folks. That's 4 down and 17 to go in North East Lincolnshire. And that notice board is in the churchyard here in Bradley. Here's the church. Now there are 2 crosses, I believe, in here. The first one is right in front of the porch, this one here. I do believe though there is a second one somewhere. If I come across it, I will record it, but of course let's talk about the church next. There's actually only one cross in this churchyard. I was thinking of a different one whose episode will be coming soon. The church is dedicated to St George and it's Grade 2 listed. It originated in the 12th century, making it the oldest building in the village. Restoration of its chancel and the installation of its electric lighting took place in 1928. During the early 20th century, 2 stained glass windows were put in. The east window is in memory of a former vicar, whilst the north window is in memory of the famous Tickler family who lived at the manor. They owned an international jam and preserve making company that at its height employed 2,000 people across the Commonwealth. This hasn't always been the only religious building in the village either. In the early 1930s there was a small Methodist chapel which is now closed. And it might not quite be Hodsock Priory, but I love the fact that there were snowdrops in the churchyard, making it look even more beautiful. Now where the road bends back towards the start, you'll find this little track. It's a bridleway which goes towards a farm. Now I can't drive down here because there's a big sign that says no unauthorised vehicles beyond this point. It's a bit of a shame I can't actually, because if I'd have been able to, I would have been able to drive down here and take you to Bradley Woods. We're still going to Bradley Woods, but I'll have to go round the other way. I've stopped here though, because as well as Bradley Woods, you can see in the distance, check out this amazing view. Don't anybody ever tell me that Lincolnshire is not a beautiful part of the country. Okay, so as I've just mentioned, we're now heading towards Bradley Woods. Now, normally when we cover a clump of trees like Bradley Woods, there's not really much to talk about other than the fact it's just a clump of trees. However, Bradley Woods has got a story to it, and that's why we're going there right now. This is Bradley Woods, ideal for a peaceful stroll or to walk your dog. It's even got a play area for kids, and it forms a local nature reserve with Dixon Woods opposite. However, it's allegedly haunted by a woman known to the locals as the Black Lady, a young and pretty woman around 5'6" tall, dressed in a flowing black cloak and a black hood. Some believe her to be the ghost of a nun, possible seeing as a convent existed at nearby Nunsthorpe. Then there's a myth which says she was the wife of a woodsman who had gone to war with Lord Yarbrough's army, and every day she would take their baby to the edge of the woods to wait for his return. 3 horsemen from the enemy's army are said to have passed through the woods one day, attacked her, and snatched the baby, laughing as they went. It's rumoured that if you go into the woods on Christmas Eve and call, Black Lady, I've stolen your baby," 3 times, the lady will appear to take back her child. So of course, whether or not these woods are actually haunted is open to interpretation. If you believe in the supernatural, then, you know, feel free to believe that these woods do have a ghost haunting them. I tell you what though, even if they're not, they are peaceful, and it's a beautiful way to end the parish of Bradley. And I do hope you've enjoyed this one. I know I have. I wasn't expecting much from this one, to be honest with you. I've got 2 others today which I know are going to be awesome, but this one's going to be rivaling those 2 now for the best one of the day. That's just how it goes. I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and this has been the parish of Bradley, and I'm out.